Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody is having a good Monday night. Tonight, we are going to hear from account number 2 as far as the Gainesboro 4. I want to remind everybody to just be respectful. If you have questions, ask them. Just do it in a respectful way. You will be gone. I just don't put up with it the way I run my page. And just remember, these are brave people that are coming on here to speak. So just, keep that in mind when you have something to say. These people tried very hard for their friends and what they knew back then. And and even for the ones that weren't able to, they have their reasons. And I think those reasons are very credible. And just remember that when you want to tune in. So I'm going to bring her on, and she is just going to come on and give her account and speak on some things. So I just hope everybody gives her a warm welcome. Hello.
Hello.
I'm very happy that you decided to do this. I know we've been talking for.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. There's apparently a stampede going through my hallway.
My stampede's in bed.
Living in an apartment building, it tends to be a little loud sometimes.
Oh, I've been there. I've done that life. Oh yeah. So how are you feeling?
Um, Honestly, I have been extremely emotional for a couple weeks now, but I'm okay. I'm feeling good about things, to be honest.
I told you I am so sorry. I tell everybody listening, I don't mean to bring up that pain and judge it all back. And I'm just glad everybody can see that it's for good reason, and you guys should be heard.
Honestly, it's a pain that we've been feeling for 20 years
Yes.
constantly. So I'm more than okay with bringing up the emotions and feeling a little bit more if it means that we could possibly get some answers.
I agree with you very much, and it's crazy that you say that, because if anybody goes back and watches any of the videos, that is one of the things that I say. And it's not to be disrespectful or morbid or any of those things, but people do need to see that. I think that's what's missing. Between the posts and pictures, we get desensitized, and not on purpose. But I
Well, I
think
mean, and it's
seeing
not
you
even
guys,
that. It's there's hardly any knowledge about this
nothing.
anywhere. So it's like it's not even really a known thing.
Yes. And I feel like you guys, all of you have just been very suppressed.
Yeah.
And just from time itself, even in the way things were back then, we didn't have a lot of the technology. We didn't have this, we didn't have that. And that contributed to it, not only by, the vibes are that it was pushed down purposely. There was just a lot of things working against you guys back then, I feel. And it's a different time now. And so,
Almost everything was working against us, with the
yes.
exception of us.
And it's a different time now. Oh, I'm so sorry. And so,
Yep. Almost everything was working against us, with the exception of us.
and it's a different time now. Oh, yeah, it was. It was. And I think that with everything that was done, as far as whatever evidence and anything in that nature back then, it was a different time. And it's 2 decades later. I think, it deserves to have a second look at, to see what could be salvaged and worked with today. And I believe that a lot of that has to be based on now, whether they screwed it up, shoved it down on purpose, or whatever reason. Your accounts are all that it seems that we have, and I think that they are very credible. So I have asked anybody to come, and I appreciate you being one of those people. I believe that you have some powerful things that you should say, and that should be known. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure you're ready. I'm sure, as anxious as you are, I'm sure you're ready.
I've been more than ready for so long. I wanted something done then. I definitely was not a quiet person then, but I was a very angry person about it. I was very loud, and yeah.
And even that had its consequences.
That had some horrible consequences on my part.
So first, let's start out. How, you don't have to go into specifics. I already told you, but how are, did you know Lacey, Joseph, TJ? How are you connected in whatever way you want to tell us?
I was really, honestly, out of all of them, I was closest to TJ.
Okay.
I was really good friends with Elizabeth and Joseph as well. Me and Lacey were honestly more acquaintances than we were close, but she was the sweetest person that I knew. We just didn't, I guess, run into each other because of where we lived and stuff like that, differences. But like, she was literally one of the sweetest girls that I knew. Me and TJ, though, he was like a brother to me. Though I've noticed, looking back on it and hearing the accounts and everything, it seems like every one of them was like a brother or sister to somebody, and every one of us was really good friends with all of them.
I have heard nothing but wonderful things. They just seem like, from what I get, TJ was kind of that popular, quirky one.
Yep.
Lacey was the loudmouth firecracker. Joseph was a little bit more reserved. And Elizabeth, I don't know a lot about, to be honest with you, and I would love.
Elizabeth was a little more reserved, kind of like Joseph.
Okay.
She was really quiet in school. If you weren't in her like close group, you didn't really know a whole lot about her. She was just that type of, she was very quiet, very private. Um but she, just like all of the other ones, was an extremely sweet person. Me and her actually had just started getting close a couple months before everything happened, and so I knew her, but we had just started getting close. She was just more of a quiet person, unless like, kind of like I was in school. Like, you, in order to know the real me, you had to actually be really close to me.
They all just sound like just wonderful people. Wonderful teenagers, just, doing teenager stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one, I hate to put it this way, but I feel like maybe that was one of the reasons why they didn't really look into it that much, is because and I hate to even word it this way, but like, we were kind of considered the quote unquote delinquents of the town, because we partied, we had fun. We didn't
I can relate to
do
that.
meth. We
Mhm.
didn't do pills. We didn't do hard drugs. But I mean, we would drink. We would, we would smoke.
Yeah.
But like, we weren't like, but because of that, I think we were kind of looked at like we were the delinquents of the town, and they just kind of wrote it off
Yeah.
because, I mean, there were other reasons I believe it happened too, but I think that was part of it.
I think that, yeah, I think they, I just think in a lot of the cases and the stories that I've heard, and even the counts, once the mention of drugs, and even that can be fueled by, what type, I've heard all kinds of things were at that party. And I think any kind of win like that, people just shut down. And it's almost like
I
investigating.
remember when it first happened, they tried to convince us that it was a meth lab explosion, and I'm sorry, but I know better.
See, I have not heard
None of
that.
us
I have
touched
not
that.
really like really, really had somebody come forward and say something like that. I've seen and like comment and talking, but I've not seen anybody come forth.
They literally,
So it's the
at
room.
first, they tried to convince us that it was the meth lab explosion.
Yeah,
And because of the fact that we all knew them better than that, they couldn't, like, it didn't hold any stock with anyone. And that's when we started hearing about the kerosene heater. And like that girl said during Tamara's live, if they were all passed out, how did it not get knocked over? Like, there's
yeah,
no way that could have been possible if they were all passed out, asleep, or like, and not near it.
absolutely, absolutely.
I
So
just,
let's go back to before it happened,
okay.
because I feel that what you've told me, you know, I just feel like however you want to tell it, you should some remnants of that should be out there.
Are we talking about Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Or first of
as
all, did you hear before Friday? Let me ask you this first. Before that Friday, did you hear anything before then?
no,
Okay.
I mean, I knew that they were arguing, but
Yeah.
it hadn't been going on it couldn't have been going on for more than a week. Like, not even, just a couple days,
Days.
really. And like, I didn't even know about them going to, or him showing up at, that night at Tamara's friend's house. I didn't even know about that. But it makes sense how when I got to school the next morning, I heard all about it, and I knew everybody was like keeping an eye out for him, watching to make sure, like, see if he came into the school and everything. And I believe it was the last period when he finally showed up, and was looking around for him. And all I know, I didn't see him personally until I got outside to the student parking lot.
Okay.
And
But he was inside of the school building?
yes,
Okay.
because what I heard when I was outside walking to the vehicle, and I heard a bang, like, and I turned around and noticed that it was like the doors had been slammed open, and it made a lot of people turn around. And Cookie is standing there at the top of the stairs, and he yells, "Hey, TJ!" And like, I guess TJ looked up at him because it took him a minute to start talking after he said, "Hey, TJ." And he
all
I
right.
can remember it. I can remember the tone in his voice. I can remember the look on his face. I can remember it like it happened just yesterday. And he said, I promise you, you will be dead before the end of the weekend. And then 2 days later, I
How
got
did
woke up
how did
at.
that make you feel when he said that? Did you take him
I
or did you just, oh, it's
personally,
just Cookie being Cookie?
well, me personally, Cookie being Cookie would fully
Mhm.
do something like that if he said it. And I fully believed, like, because he was psycho. And so I fully believed if he said something like that and he was actually capable of finding him, yes, he would have done it. And I walked up to TJ and I was like, why? I was like, what the hell have you done? Like, please don't take offense to this, but what the hell have you done? Why is he so angry at you? And he said, I've, uh, I was just talking to such and such, and I'm not gonna say her name,
Yeah.
but um, he was like, we were just talking for maybe 2 days. And he's like, and I hadn't even done anything about it and wasn't really planning on it. Was really just trying to be a friend because she told me about some abusive shit that he had done and why she had left him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, of course, Cookie being who he was, he didn't care that he was just a friend. He didn't care that he was just talking to her as a friend or something like that. And honestly, I fully agree with what Tamara said. I wouldn't doubt it in the least little bit if she had something to do with it and it was a setup on her part.
Mm. You know, and I keep hearing that, and honestly, until just on like earlier today, um, when I was talking to somebody, I never understood why would anybody think that they were setting him up? And then I got this little piece of information today, and it kind of made sense. Um, but we will get to that. I just want everybody to hear you right now and what
Yeah.
you have to say. So
Um,
they,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
um, no, I was just gonna pick off where you left off. You go ahead.
Um, so yeah, we we all took him seriously because we all knew him. We all knew how he was. We all knew the family. We all knew like there's a lot of things about him that everybody knew. If I'm not mistaken, when he was 13 years old, he shot his own father with a shotgun.
See, I did just hear something along those lines with the last few days. But it was
Shot him.
after this happened. I got information that he had, and it was interesting because nobody had said it before. But what I'm getting is that he had shot his dad after this happened.
Now, okay, so that could be it could be I could be getting my
Mhm.
timelines mixed up because
Well, that's why I wanted to put it out there because in case people, since you you happen to mention that too, I usually don't like to throw things out there until I get like a few people that are unknowingly telling, corroborating these things, and
right.
it's interesting. Interesting.
And that's what I mean, that I've been feeling that and noticing that it's like everybody's coming forward and everybody has the basically the same freaking story, just different
Yeah.
side, like different
Yes.
versions of it
Perspectives.
from different points
Yes.
of view.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is very interesting to see, and it's that's what it's going to take. Um, so you knew when Cookie came down to that school and made those threats. You took him serious.
Yeah, damn right I
With
took him serious
now,
because
what I've been wondering is, a big question of mine is adults. Y'all were babies at this time. Y'all were babies. And I just kind of trying to narrow down, that seemed like a big scene, at least drawn out enough. It just makes you wonder, what staff, did you see any staff around?
um
I mean, I know it was probably chaotic and surreal and all of these things. You
extremely
know what I
chaotic,
mean?
and honestly there wasn't usually staff out in the student parking lot at the end of the day. I don't personally remember seeing any
Okay.
adults out there, but I was focused on him
Hmm.
and what was being said and going on at the moment. Like I
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do not fault you for that. Given what we've talked and you've seen this with you heard it, and I can
mm,
imagine how your head was spinning. So what did you now? Were you supposed to go to this trailer?
I was.
And what I mean, you don't have to. Just for curiosity reasons. And what just made you decide not to go?
I was at another party.
Okay.
Not the same one that Tamara was at, but a different one. And there was like a handful of people. They kind of wanted just a more smaller like get together of like a few closer friends,
Yeah.
so only a handful of people were invited and was like, hey, if you guys want to come, let's go do this. And like we were gonna go, and my ride, we got to the vehicle and my ride was like, you know, we've already been here. I'm gonna have to get you home soon. And we've already been drinking, so we might as well just stay here instead of driving
Right.
to another
Right.
place and then
I've done
driving.
that many times.
Right.
Hmm.
So like it was more of a, let's just, stay here for a
Yeah.
little bit longer and then get you home. Okay, sure, whatever. I mean, you're my ride. I got to do whatever you're doing. So,
Hmm.
and so we just stayed there. And the next morning, I got woke up. I'm wanting to say I got it. I'm not 100% for sure on the exact time, but I know I got woke up to the
Yeah.
phone call and it was before 9 o'clock in the morning. And
Oh,
I got woke up to a phone call and changed my entire life. I basically collapsed in the kitchen floor and just,
I can't.
I didn't I didn't even know how to process it. Like I had just seen them the night before, like a couple, not all of them, but I had just seen a couple of them just the night before. Like before they left to go up there, like, and then the rest of them I had just seen that Friday. Like I didn't have I had no clue how to process being kids and losing that many people that was that close to me in such a horrific way. It was like it there was this huge darkness that just covered the town. And it's like that. I mean, the darkness kind of lifted a little bit after a while, but that darkness has never left. It's just like,
I can.
but that year, the rest of that school year was just, there were a lot of us that didn't even know how to process it. We were angry, we were sad, some of us were numb. Like, it was,
Yeah. I cannot imagine. And I just seen this comment from Mike. He said, we lost about half of our circle in one night. You didn't just lose some, you lost 4 people
yeah,
all at once. I cannot
yeah,
imagine.
yeah. He's completely correct on that. And I see the comment where he said that they used to watch us box in the parking lot along with our SRO. But that day they were nowhere. That and that makes sense because they used to watch us box in the parking lot all the freaking time, and they never said a word. But that day they just weren't outside.
And
And I
that's
mean, thinking back on it, you hear, yeah, they used to watch us box in the parking lot, and it's like, what? But I mean, it was a different time.
yeah,
It was a completely different time. This was in early 2000s. Like,
just boys being boys and the girl. Yeah,
not just
totally
boys. There were a
different.
couple girls that would box too.
Oh.
Like, there were some girls that got in with the boys too.
I was a rough and tough in myself, but I was unboxed with them. So I
Me
give them credit.
personally,
I give them a lot of credit.
I was personally one of the girls that would get in the ring with them. But,
Yeah, I was climbing the trees and playing, two-hand and tackle and all that. But yeah, you guys were brave doing that.
the matches were definitely intense. Mikey said the matches were intense. Yeah, they definitely were, but they were between
My
friends, so it was friendly competition. It was fine.
Tamara, or Tamara, I say her name so, but it's so beautiful either way. But yeah,
But yeah, we lost a lot of people. Like, that was a big group. Like, okay, so we've said for a long time that there is a curse on that town because there for the longest time, every year, we lost someone in our school. Every year. Like, I don't know if it's still happening or not. I really hope it's not. But there for the longest time, at least every year that I was in school there, we lost somebody. But that year was the worst. That year was just, it was the most tragic thing that could have ever imagined possible to ever happen to a town. And especially to not ever get answers for it. And like, I, the kids, they deserve justice for what happened to them. The parents deserve to know what the hell happened to their kids. And I'm in no way trying to sound selfish, but we deserve to know what happened to our friends.
absolutely, absolutely. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Absolutely. Mike said the
Wrecked
town was
before graduation,
100% cursed.
suicide, murder. Yeah, he's not wrong. That's 100% right. We lost someone every year, but that year was the worst one. Like, all of them, losing all of them was absolutely ridiculous. Like, it heart wrenching. But to lose 4 babies to a murder like that, and then have it just brushed under the rug, to the point that you can't even freaking find newspaper articles about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like you can't
Everybody
find
tells me that there's
anything.
these airings that where I can't find anything. I was gonna go, I guess, go up to the local library and pull up and see what I can actually find and see if, they can help me and get a hold of and how to go back. Because yeah, I can't find anything. Because Jackie said they even did a few minutes interviewing Joe and on Channel 5, I think it was. And I can't. So, I mean, I
And
wonder
you
if I
would
can get
think
in
that
touch
things
with them
like
and see
that.
if they will. I reached out to them and I said, I know that I've heard that you have, records of that. Can you go pull it back out for their anniversary they just had and kind of um, air something? And I didn't hear anything back from them yet.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like all of it. It's like everything that they wrote, all the
yeah,
articles, all the broadcasts, everything that they had, it's like it disappeared after a year.
I
It's like it just and things
the
like
news
that,
articles being
no
sent
matter
to.
how old it is, you can normally find news
Yeah.
articles like that, but you can't on this.
And then, so the ones that I do have, like people, those are actual ones that she kept all these years, and that's why they lit. But she took the time because that's all
Right?
there was, and so she snapped. And I appreciate everybody that sends those in because yeah, they're skim. All the articles I do have are very vague and say the same thing, and it's really just relevant for the first night. So there's really nothing after that I've seen. So I appreciate what I have been sent in.
Yeah, I wish I still had the stuff. I used to have one of the balloons from that was left at the the crime scene. Like I was one of the ones that ended up with one of the balloons. Like but unfortunately, because of termites and humidity and stuff like that, everything ended up getting ruined, and like I don't have anything anymore.
I'm so sorry for that.
It's I
So I know that you did you see, I know that you were, pretty close to the did you see anybody after this incident, as far as Derek or even Cookie himself or anybody after this?
um
Daniel, I know that he was close knit in there too.
I was personally threatened by Cookie that if I didn't stop running my mouth that I was going to be next.
Mm. And you took that was a pretty serious threat coming from you know
Yeah.
who it was coming from. You felt that way at least, right?
I knew that he was telling me the truth, but I also didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care because I was angry, and I was already a very angry teenager. So this just gave me even more fuel, and I was extremely angry. Yeah, Michael is correct. We many people got threats afterwards because there were like a lot of us. We wouldn't be quiet. We were extremely angry, and with all of us knowing exactly what happened, like not to a T because we weren't actually there, so we don't know exactly how it happened, but we knew who did it, and we knew exactly like what happened leading up to all of us like and like I said, all of the accounts are basically the same
The
thing just from
same.
different perspectives, and like so we knew. So a lot of us got threats, a lot of us got told that if we didn't stay quiet, if we didn't quiet, that we would be next.
Well, let's just say, who do you know who Cookie lived with at the time? Derek, does he have a nickname?
I've never heard Derek go by a nickname personally. I could be wrong. Like but I've only ever called him Derek. Um, and I'm honestly, I personally do not know who Cookie was living with at the time because he was not living with his father until a little while after.
Yeah.
He didn't move back in with his father until a little while after.
Now I had a few people come in and mention some party Derek was at afterwards.
Yes. I honestly personally had partied with Derek several times afterwards, like into adulthood. But he didn't, like Tamara said, he didn't like talking about it. But there was sometimes, and it only happened with me a couple times, but if he was really comfortable with you and he knew that you weren't somebody that would judge him
Yeah,
or anything
yeah,
like that, he would get into a specific mood sometimes that he would just need to talk about it.
yeah.
And there was a couple times, but one in particular that I remember really well. We sat down on a couch and he looked at me, and we were sitting there on a couch drinking, and he looked at me and he was like, I really hate to ask, but can I please talk to you? And I was like, yeah, of course, anything.
Hmm.
And so we went outside and sat down on a swing outside and started talking. And I mean, he told me some things, but me personally, I don't feel like it's my place,
No,
especially
that's
because of the
okay.
fact that he doesn't remember a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, he did talk to me a couple times, but like I said, the one time I remember really well because it was like he started talking to me like right after I got there, so I hadn't been drinking that much
Right.
yet.
Mhm.
So they so I remember that one really well. But it killed him, and because a lot of people there for the longest time tried to blame him because they needed someone to blame, I think. And because of the fact that he lived through it,
Yeah.
they automatically just wanted to be able to blame someone, and so they blamed him. And I can only imagine how that felt to him because there he is. He just lost four of his closest friends, and he could have been right along with them. And now all of a sudden, everybody, well, not everybody, but some of the people are blaming you. Like, I can only imagine how he felt. And I can fully understand why he didn't talk afterwards
Yes.
because, like,
Mhm.
if I'm being blamed for something like that, I'm not going to want to talk either. I'm going to end up shutting
Yeah.
down too.
Yeah. And I can fully understand because even myself, when I first heard about I didn't know there was a survivor, and a lot of people didn't know that there was a survivor. And I will admit, when I first found out, this is just before I got I really dove into, what everybody was saying. Um, the first impression I got when I said, "Oh, there was a survivor and nobody knows anything," so, and I understand. And that's why and I think that it's very important to have different perspectives and people come speak and talk about it, especially after 2 decades.
Yeah.
I can imagine I can see absolutely why he stayed so private and so silent. I do,
Mm-hmm.
fully, you know, and I personally, I hope that I can pave the way for him to feel like he's comfortable enough to know that we'll have your back. You deserve to come up here and talk and say your piece. Um, But I understand if I will never pray, because I understand. I get it. I can see that perfectly clear.
Melissa says I would talk to prove my innocence, and I fully understand why she
Yeah.
says that, but at the same
But
time, if you don't know what happened, if you were knocked out before anything happened and you literally didn't see anyone, then I mean, there's nothing that you can say. And he did. He told people that he didn't know what happened, but there were some people like Michael said, he never blamed him. It's just there was no answers, so a lot of people pulled away. And Tamara said, yeah, it's like our little friend family just kind of split. It's like
I can
it
imagine something like
put a
this dividing.
huge wedge in between so many people.
I can't imagine the weight of it all. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys are babies.
yeah.
I mean,
We like having to go through something like that as an adult
yeah.
would be like hard enough, but having to go through it as a child, it's like I
Heartbreak.
have a kid that is the same age. Like I could only imagine what the parents were going through because of that. Like I can't.
And the
I would snap. I would literally snap.
and just hearing everybody, and the only thing I can think of is you have not only this horrific thing happen, but in such a brutal way, and to have no answers. It's like the triangle, the whole, there's just, the way they died was so brutal. So brutal.
And the fact that the adults just basically made us be quiet so that because that it was like the adults were more afraid of him than we were.
And that's what yeah. I mean, it just seems, for me being an outsider and listening to everybody, everybody took him serious except for those that needed to, figure out what happened.
Yep. The kids, we knew. We knew. We believed him. We took his threats very seriously. But the adults were just like they pushed the threats to the side, and then when it happened they were like Michael just said, no, it wasn't murder, it was a meth lab kerosene heater that got angry, right? Yeah, like they didn't take the threat seriously, and then they just brushed it under the rug when it actually happened, and then told us all to like some of us had. And I mean, I there were some of us that were afraid and that didn't talk because of that. And then but some of us weren't afraid of him per se. Some of us were afraid of telling our parents that we were partying.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are, like you said, you guys are babies. You guys are what, 15, 16, 17 years old?
Yeah, I was personally 15 at the time.
So, and it's just like, they didn't, just my perspective, and from what I'm hearing and seeing is just that you guys were talking, and everybody was, when this first came out, everybody's like back and forth, you guys have all this information, but they don't understand, the more you look into it, they had the reasons why they couldn't talk, or they did go talk and nothing was, and you guys were babies, nobody took you serious.
Exactly. I
And
personally was not allowed to talk to the cops.
I know, I
I
don't know how much you want to dive into that, but I know that you were pretty, I can I can understand why you
I
I can definitely.
I don't know how much of this I can give to without giving away who I am,
Yeah.
which personally I probably have already given away who I am with some of the stuff that I've said.
Well, if that's the case, I appreciate everybody sticking to and respecting your wishes
I
very
am
much.
so sorry. I just dropped something. Can you repeat that?
I did. All I said is just, and if that is the case, I am just very happy that everybody is sticking to and respecting your wishes.
Same.
That's the only way we're going to be able to do this. So,
But so my family was unfortunately extremely close to not me personally, but my family was close to the Lynch family. Um, and
so you have insight.
I
You
have.
know Cookie. You have. I mean, you don't know him personally,
Oh,
but
I do know him personally, but that don't mean I like him. That I
yeah,
was never
that's what I'm
his
saying. You weren't
friend.
friends with him just because. Yeah, you weren't. Yeah. Good.
But
But you
I
have
was.
insight to where I felt like you were a good person to come on here because, there is this whole side where people, think it's kind of laughable, funny, how is anybody afraid of Cookie? How? And I do believe that people know different sides of people, and that's why I think it's important to get everybody's perspective. I think that the more people, people are going to know different sides of him. But that doesn't mean
My
either side is wrong.
right. So because of the fact that I decided that I was going to be so loud about it, my father decided to take me to Cookie himself so that Cookie could threaten me.
Which sounds pretty serious. People took him, to go out of their way to do something like that. That's pretty serious.
Yeah. And I've
Like when you
even
were
been
telling me
told
that,
as
I almost
recently as
imagined.
this past week to keep my mouth shut.
We'll
And
see.
I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen. I wasn't quiet then. I wasn't quiet even after he decided that he was going to threaten me. I may not have went to the cops, but I was definitely loud about it, and I was
Yeah.
definitely made it very well known that I knew what was going on and what happened, or at least who did it. And so if I wasn't quiet then, the hell makes you think I'm going to be quiet now? I'm an adult now.
So do you think that what they say about, um, possibly Daniel knowing or being involved or somehow, um, do
I
you
don't know exactly how Daniel was involved, but I do know that Daniel was involved, and I do know that he did not commit suicide. Um, I don't know exactly for sure about. I can't remember if the note that was written was a forced note or if he had actually written it because he felt guilty, but it wasn't meant to be a suicide note, it was meant to be a confession. But I do know that he did not commit suicide. He was shot in the chest with Cookie's shotgun.
I've had quite a few people tell me that it was Cookie's shotgun. And um, I would love to see, I don't know if it would have been registered or any of that, but the more, I think it's pretty, do you know of Cookie owning a shotgun?
I do.
Okay.
It's the same shotgun that he shot his if I'm not mistaken, it's the same shotgun he ended up shooting his daddy with.
I see.
And just
And if
and
that,
like Michael said,
I,
Daniel and
I
Cookie
hear
rode
that.
together, but often. But Daniel wasn't the same caliber as Cookie. Nobody was the same caliber as Cookie.
I think it's very important to know that if he was capable of, you just have this person, and it just seems to be that instead of taking all of these kids, all of these accounts, all of this serious, whether he did or not, but it just seems to be that he just seems to be would be a perfect, he somebody to look into with his
Yeah.
history, that they would have at least ran it down very thoroughly, just to come and say, look, he did not have anything to do with this, but it doesn't seem to me, and I keep telling, I want to put it out there. If they did, they can come show me or talk to me, but they won't, because it's an open investigation. I've tried. I've had people, but their response is they can't give anything out because it's an open investigation.
A
I
lot of the people that ran with Cookie ran with him and only did the things that they did for or with him because they were afraid of him too.
and I think that, when I posted that article, I know it caused a lot of controversy, and I'm sorry, I did not know they messed up the details like that. But really, what I was showing it for is whether or not, it was for two reasons. Look what, it seems to be that he's a type of person that can get people to do things for him,
Hmm.
whether knowingly or unknowingly. I did not care for any of that. It was just, there was this drug connection. He could
Mm.
get people to do things, just his character, just the character of who he is. You would think that with all of you talking about this and taking it serious and looking at his past and what he's done, especially if he did shoot his father, then
Hmm.
they would have taken that more, at least that serious. Not so much you guys, fine, but you would have thought
Oh,
they
but
would have
his
done their
daddy
job and
didn't
ran
press
it down.
charges.
And it's
So
just
if there's no
crazy.
charges pressed, so if there's no cops called, then there's no way of being able to prove that it actually happened. Even if there is a hospital visit, they can't prove how it happened. You can very easily lie about how it actually happened.
Yeah, I am just, very, I'm saddened by if they, I could understand if they took all your accounts, ran it down, and did, but it's just like they took all of it and then just decided, no, that couldn't have happened, so we
I
won't
don't
put it
think
down.
they decided. I think they decided before they even
Even,
started asking any of us questions that they weren't actually going to do anything about it. I just think that they wanted to make us think that they were going to,
yes,
and then wanted to be able to use, oh, well, there's no proof. There's not enough proof.
hearsay, it's all rumor, there's
Yeah.
nothing credible. Yeah, I've been saying that since I was telling a few people. I said, just from listening to everybody, it just seems like they really walked up on the crime scene knowing that they weren't going to work it the way they should.
Hmm.
The moment they got that call, I don't
I
think that
mean,
they,
like Tamara said, they didn't even rope it off.
yeah,
And that's the first thing you do in a crime scene. Even if it is possibly accidental, that's the first thing you do. But they didn't.
and I've had people saying, well, it smoldered for 2 days afterwards. They had to
Mm-hmm.
wait for it to cool down for to put the tape up, and I'm just like,
No.
no. But
No,
that,
you
from what
don't.
I
You
see,
can put the
okay,
freaking
that's
tape
one
up.
thing. But from what I hear, people were just walking all over it
Yep.
also. So it just, to me, for everybody has the same impression, is that they just did not even give it a fair shot.
They didn't. because they
And
didn't,
that's so
like I said,
heartbreaking.
at the beginning of this conversation, it was like, because of the fact that we were the partiers, the delinquents of the
Yeah.
town, they didn't care.
Now, um, I've been bringing up old Sheriff Lynch, and some people are saying they're no relation. Some people are saying they're very credible people are saying that they are relation. But
Well, according to the person that is extremely close to their family, yes, they are related.
and I
Mm.
just think that the fact that old Lynch was a sheriff in a town that seems corrupt. And when I first mentioned his name, we had a lot of victims come forward and say he was this on my, and it's still questionable. And I'm getting a kind of a picture painted on how he ran things and
Well,
who the boys he was with ran things. And
yeah, so everybody is claiming that he was an amazing person, an amazing sheriff, and I mean, he may have been. He passed away
yeah,
just shortly after I was born, so I don't know the man personally, but I do know that a lot of the people in that town swear up and down that Wayne Mahaney was one of the best sheriffs that they had, and
mhm,
Wayne Mahaney was, pardon my language, but nothing but a piece of shit that let a bunch of people get away with stuff
yeah.
because either he was afraid of them or because they were in the group of people that he just allowed leeway. So, Sheriff Lynch may have been a good person, or he could have been one of those good sheriffs that just let people get away with stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody is swearing he was a good person.
Yeah. But, I come from a little small town too. And, I was saying to Tamara last night, um, I know what that can mean for kin is just the mere mention of that word, a last name of a local official. And the use that, none of them may have used it for. But I think it's very, very relevant that maybe Cookie had a big head and that's kind of where the ego came from, the untouchable feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Because he
think it's
was.
a very relevant.
He, as a kid, like the entire time as he was growing up, he was shown that no matter what he did, he would get away with it. And I mean, his daddy was just as crazy as him. Well,
So
almost as crazy as him. The it shit rolls downhill and then it usually gets worse. But like his daddy was just as crazy. So,
so that's what I want that is another thing. Now if you like I told you, I may hint at something, or if you don't know, just say that. Or if you don't want to talk about it, just say that. But so what if we've heard this story of Cookie and TJ getting at it about some type of relationship with his ex old lady. He didn't like it, did not like
mhm,
it, and that's what started all. And we've heard that. So, and I've told everybody, if there's something else that needs to be brought into the picture, please. And actually, just recently that has happened. So I kind of wanted to get everybody, not just yours, while everybody's watching, um, their opinion on this. So, it's known I had somebody reach out to me, and like I said, I don't like to bring it to the table until at least a few people have noted and mentioned it to me, that brings credibility. So, one of the other things that were brought to my attention was, now person one told me that, Cookie was out there that day, and or around, and him and Daniel, and something along the lines of, there was a bad batch of meth going around and was sold. And at the time, Cookie's dad was a big dealer. I've heard that he is trying to get his life around. And, if that's true, I commend him on that. But we're talking, 2 decades ago here.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was a big known, and maybe one of the victims inside there were also kind of blabbing about dealings and also a bad batch going around. And that could have further set off already tensions that were building up.
Honestly, if that is true, then I can see how it would accelerate his anger. But like I said earlier, that the people, the kids that this happened to, none of them messed with that.
No,
So I know
that
that
wasn't
Cookie
that
did.
was not that was not relayed or said that they were.
Oh,
It was just known and bragged and blabbed, and one of the victims were kind of going around saying too much about it.
yeah, and
And that could have been further fueled. And
it's
there's just two
possible.
possible, if that's, and I've had a few people piece that together, so I felt it was good enough to bring out. So I
Right.
feel like that should be at least something that they could have looked into. There are it feels like there's just plenty of things that they could have looked into to not.
Right. I mean, it's very possible. I want to say that I'm kind of remembering, um, something about a bad batch, but I was one of those kids that never paid attention to things like that because, like, me and none of my friends, none of us messed with it, so I didn't have
Right.
to worry about it.
I get that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very possible, but I'm not, I don't want to say for sure because
Yeah.
I don't 100% for sure know.
I just thought it was really interesting because, like I said, these were a few different people. So being you who you were, I just wondered how that would sit with you.
Yeah, I do know that Cookie and his dad both were huge dealers, probably one of the biggest in town. Um, the meth itself though was only Cookie. I know that his dad only dealt in like prescription drugs
Mm-hmm.
and like weed and things like that. He, as far as I knew, he never messed with selling like the harder things like cocaine or meth. That
Right.
was all Cookie. And there for a while, I do know that his dad wouldn't even let him live there because he was doing that and didn't want that in his home.
So did you ever hear of Cookie possibly staying in his truck on that property at any points?
I've never heard that. No,
Okay.
I as far as I knew, like Tamara said, he had never,
Never
like,
knew.
he didn't even know where that was until that night. So there
Okay.
had to have been somebody that
Yeah.
told him where they were. Like, there, and I don't know who it could have been unless it was said female that was trying to set people up.
Yeah. I can't. Ugh. So it's safe to say that maybe, Cookie wouldn't have known where they were unless he had help. If he was, if this is what happened, that would be the only way. Somebody would have had to have
Yeah,
told.
somebody would have had to.
Now I heard that, Oxy and Xanax were kind of being thrown into the mix, but I'll be honest, I've looked at an autopsy, I've talked about an autopsy. I've talked about it, and these things were brought up, and from at least one of the autopsies, there was nothing that in the system as far as Oxy or Xanax.
I'm willing to
So I think,
I'm willing to bet that the only thing that any of them had in their system would have been alcohol and weed.
at least as far, like I said, the one I've been talked to and asked a few questions on. That, yeah. So, and then there's this whole talk of, the autopsies. A lot of people say that they were tied up, and some of them may have had blunt force trauma. I know that in the autopsy that I was talking about, there was smoke inhalation. And, there was this big talk of, them being knocked out and them tied up and shot. And, you go look at the autopsy and none of that is in there. And people, you get that autopsy and they're like, well, it's not in there, so it didn't happen. And then, we just got to kind of remember who did this autopsy and what he got fired for. And, you really can't, to me, that just me personally, you can't trust anything that was put in that autopsy then.
In my opinion, you can't trust anything that man put in any
Yeah.
autopsies because of being fired for the reasons that he was fired for. So it's not just the autopsies of these kids, it's the autopsies of so many others that
Yes.
he probably screwed up or lied or falsified evidence on for one reason or another.
And they were still letting this man on the witness stand being a witness while he was being investigated.
Yep.
So let's
And
just,
never once reopened any case that he worked on.
None of them. And I think these 4 right here would be a very good start.
Yep. Which that in itself should show you exactly how crooked that freaking town is. Is, not was, is.
I do believe that, Michael, he was signed what he was told to sign. Yeah. There was on, at least Mike, the one that I was talking with, there was no toxicology. So there's a lot unknown. According to them, there was just no, it wasn't viable. They had to take the alcohol level from the liver. And so that just goes to show, as much as what they, from the report and all that, what had to go by. So there was no, at least in this, there was no toxicology done.
I fully agree with Michael when he said that he signed what he was told to sign. I fully agree with that. He did what he was told to do, and whenever things started getting questioned is probably when he got fired because of the fact that they were afraid that he was going to end up opening his mouth.
That is a good question, Jen. Why weren't the autopsies redone after he was fired? Because you guys have to think, this happened in 2002. What he was going through was already in play.
Yep.
This was all going on in the midst of this happening.
Yep.
And
so why not have somebody else do it if he's in the middle of a freaking a court case in itself? Then why not have somebody else do the autopsies?
Yeah. And they knew and still let this man. So, I mean, there's just a lot of good questions and a lot of, I think right there, that should be enough to take a second look.
And what Michael says couldn't be redone without raising grace. Like, yes, I agree that it may not be able to be redone without having to like pull them up. But you know what? If it means that we can get answers and proof of what actually happened, and like because I mean, head injuries would still be shown. A bullet
Mhm.
hole in the head would still
Yes,
be shown. A bullet hole
absolutely.
anywhere would still be shown. So, I mean, if that's a way of being able to get answers, then why not?
And that would be, and as far as the parents' perspective, I can imagine how extremely invasive that would feel. And those
Yeah,
would be some very hard, incredibly hard decisions that they would have to make. We have to keep that in mind too. But
yes, and
I
it
think
really
a lot of
is.
them can agree, I think and some part of them, they can agree to what everybody's saying. They know, they understand that. And that would be,
Exactly. And it's like, I know that's got to be a really hard
yeah,
decision. And you don't want to have to dig your kids' graves back up. But at the same time, I mean, like you said, it didn't even go into a closed case. They've still got the case open. They're just not
yeah,
working it.
it is not active.
So
I've had
if,
people call and ask about it, and they said they are not aware of an active investigation.
exactly. So, like, if it means that we could get answers, uh, yeah, it's a hard decision. But we've been suffering for decades over
Mhm.
this. So if it meant getting answers,
Yeah,
then
I can tell you they have, it's been brought up, and they know, they do, and I feel for them,
yeah,
but they
fully.
understand. And it has to be very hard. I even hate asking about the autopsies, because I can imagine how, that's very vulnerable and private. But they understand. They do. So they do. When I ask, they answer. And, because they're here for that. They're here the best way that they can. And they want that too. And it
Yeah,
has very much been talked about. They were actually, one of them were actually the ones that made me very aware of who did their babies' autopsies. So
yeah.
they were the ones that brought it to my attention. So they are very aware of that possibility. Mhm.
I wasn't even
Oh, Lisa, I
personally.
I seen a comment on here. Lisa, her son Aaron, it's been since 2019, and she is a perfect example of that, because that's exactly what you know, she said that her son would. She's the one that started it off for me, brought me into Tennessee, and that's how I found the Gainesboro Four.
Right,
She is actually, that's a decision that she will have to make, is bringing her son back up, just to prove that what they're trying to rule is 100% wrong.
right,
So just to let everybody know, they know that the possibilities of reopening up these cases and getting them active and all of that, they know, they do. And they know that you guys are out here and you love them, and that you guys deserve answers too.
I personally wasn't even allowed to go to the funerals. None of them. I
I can't imagine.
was told at the time that it was because I was grounded. But several years later, I was told that it was because I was being too loud about things, and they were afraid that if I went and he showed up, I would say something to him, and which I would have. And so, I mean, I guess I see it, but at the same time, it sucks because I wasn't even allowed to go and tell them bye.
I can't, yeah. And that, I keep telling everybody, I know there will never be complete closure. I can't imagine. I mean, losing anybody, there's never any closure, but something like this, I can't imagine you guys can ever say that, yes, I got closure. But, I think there are things that could bring bring some of those feelings to rest, some of those questions, some of those.
They're never going to be brought back.
Yeah.
We can't bring them back. As much as we want to, we can't bring them back. But we can get answers for them.
Yeah.
We can get answers for their families. We can make sure that the person responsible actually pays for it. I don't care. Yeah, I understand that he's in prison right now, but I don't care. He's not in prison for the right thing. He's not in prison for the right thing. He's getting out in 10 freaking years, and he should not ever be able to get out.
How do you feel now about coming up here and speaking after you get off?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How are you feeling about, now that you have come and spoke and possibly what might, the things that might come at you afterwards? Are you?
I don't care what comes to me. As long as the only reason I'm even going anonymous is to keep my kids safe.
And
but I feel really good about this. I feel like I feel like we're going to get answers this time. I feel like we're going to be able to do what we weren't capable of getting done then. I think we're going to be able to do it this time. And no, it's not going to bring them back. And no, it's probably not going to even make it feel much better. But it'll get the answers that we've been so desperately needing for so long.
Yeah. I am so sorry.
I had a dream about him last night. I had a dream about the last day I ever saw them at school. Like the last time I saw them together. And I woke up this morning bawling my eyes out.
I can imagine how real it felt. And then when you woke up.
And they weren't there. And I knew when I woke up, I knew they weren't going to be. And I have that dream occasionally, and I have ever since this happened. But I feel the same every time when I wake up, because it's such a peaceful, happy feeling seeing them again. And then I wake up and I realize that they're not here.
They were so loved. Just everybody. Everybody.
And I miss them so much.
They would be very proud of all of you. And they would be proud for what everybody tried to do for them back then. You guys, everybody coming in, I try not to bring my perspective into it, but just seeing everybody, the people out there want to say, this could have been solved due to witnesses and talking and then talk. And I think it's very evident that people did. You all did. In your own ways, your own perspectives, your own, maybe, like you said, you couldn't have gone and talked to them, but everybody knew. They heard you. And I think that's one thing that we can say is they heard you. And the only question is did they shut you up, or was there really nothing to do that they could do about it?
I think they shut us up.
Was there really no credibility like they said?
There's no way. There's no way that it was just because it was nothing but hearsay. That can't be it, because if that many people are coming forward with the exact same thing but different perspectives, there's no way. Like, it would at least open it up enough to where you would question and do uh what's the word I'm looking for? An investigation. You would like at least question the people. Is that at least the one freaking person that everybody is saying his name, the one freaking person that actually fully threatened him and everybody heard him do it. You would at least investigate that much. Like, you hearsay, yeah, okay, so whatever, it's hearsay. But you know what? That hearsay is coming from so many people that you should have at least looked into it.
And there are, it's very hard to do, but there have been cases that have been investigated and charges brought due to circumstantial evidence, and I believe, that hearsay kind of falls into that sometimes. And if, like you said, if you have all of these I get rumors and hearsay, and I'm sure you guys have heard some wild things. Like I was telling Tamara last night, I'm sure you guys have heard some crazy things, but it seems to be that there is this base feeling, base thought, base accounts, coming out. And it's just, at what point does it go from hearsay to being something credible? And that's my question to them. When does it become something credible that you can use then?
Yeah, it shouldn't have mattered that we were kids. It shouldn't have mattered that we were quote unquote the delinquents. It shouldn't have fucking mattered. Actually, the fact that we were kids, the fact that they were kids, should have made it even more important to figure out what happened. Sorry, I'm trying to read the
Yeah.
I kind of got spaced out on the comments for a little bit, and I was trying to go through and
I seen this one. There's you have a lot of support. I hope you see that going through. A lot of support. And, I think, like I said, they would be proud of you. You guys are their voice now, and the parents, like I said, if you guys all stop if they stop, it's who's gonna do it? Because it's very apparent that you guys are gonna be the only ones to get it done.
Tamara said something bad happened and they're working hard to keep it buried. She's not wrong. It's not that they tried to keep it buried then. There's still people in town that are still to
Oh
this day
yeah,
trying to keep it buried.
I've had
I
people
mean, if
reach
I've
out to
been
me and tell
told
me to shut my mouth.
I've been told in just the past week, I better not say anything about what I know. I mean, if I've been told that in just the past week, then yeah, there's still people there. He may be in prison, but there's still people there that are trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah, very much. I've had some pretty big people talk about that YouTuber spreading shit. So yeah, I mean, and them just doing that to me, I mean, was it a little intimidating? Yes, but I like you, I can relate to. I'm loud, anyways, and I like to push back.
Yeah.
But my question, and it's just, this case is 2 decades, and nothing was done. And my shot back to them is just, I just gave everybody a place to talk. You guys deserve that. And you guys have been very suppressed.
Michael said at this point, an autopsy would prove little. The embalming process destroys and
To
toxicology.
my
But
knowledge,
that's, I mean, yes, that is, but
to my
not true
knowledge,
because if they
there,
were knocked out and if there was a gunshot wound, then that is going to be seen.
to my knowledge, the autopsy that I have been, most informed of, um, and at least that one, there was no embalming process because they were not able to. So
That's and see, like,
according to
yeah,
the
let them
autopsy,
rest, but also if it means that we can find out, because if they pull and they found out that one of them actually shot, then that right there would be enough to be able to reopen it. And if they were knocked out, then that would show too. It
yeah,
may not,
yeah.
toxicology won't show, but it will show everything else.
Why the hell? Why protect someone who's a damn monster?
Exactly.
Is the
Like, okay, hang on a
Thank you
second.
for
So,
being here, Shayna. Lacey was my cousin, my big sister. I was so young when this happened, and learning all these details I didn't know is hard. I'm thankful for people who are willing to come forward.
I'm doing everything that I possibly can because I fully feel like they deserve justice. Parents deserve justice. And we deserve to know what happened to our friends.
Furious Hero Gaming, he says, and it's making me want to get out of the state and back up north as quickly as possible. I always thought, Tennessee, Kentucky area was going to be a place I would like to settle down, move to one day. And I was telling Lisa, I was like, no offense, but I don't think I'm moving there anymore.
No, like, and I saw a comment like earlier, um, that Michael had said that, other than the cops, which that, just joking, but like, other than the cops, that town's the only thing I've ever ran from. And he's not wrong. I ran from it too. But it's not necessarily that I ran away from it. I ran to save myself.
Yeah. And, a lot of people have to remember, a lot of people are afraid of this person. And that, I mean, that in just who he was, and that fear that he seems to have instilled on everybody. He just didn't seem like anybody to not take serious. You know, when he said something, you took him serious. It sounds like,
Hmm.
and it's
I'm
crazy.
sorry. Can you repeat that?
No, I'm just saying it's just crazy for somebody that all these people took serious, that it wasn't taken serious pretty much, and it's just.
Yeah. Like, how can you not take that serious?
And many people question, you know, what did they have to gain? What were they hiding? What are they trying to suppress by, what is going to come to light doing this investigation? And I think at this point, it's a pretty credible question people are asking.
Yeah.
JC, that dang YouTuber.
I'm
YouTube,
still
keep
like way
pushing. I
up.
will. I will.
It Give me just a moment.
No,
I'm
you're
trying
fine.
to go through the
I'll black.
comments really quick.
Yeah, you're all right. It was a little intimidating when I started hearing that they were. I always told Lisa, I was like, you get me a few people to go public, and I'll get their attention with my mouth. But just having it happen was a little surreal for a minute. I was supposed to go live that night, and I kind of like I need to take a minute and process
Honestly,
it.
I'm extremely
So I
grateful
can't
that you're
imagine how it
doing
is for you
this.
guys. Like it is very real. Like the fear, if they're willing to. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. So if they're really willing to, reach out and say, make that their presence known, you guys have very good reason to have been fearful to come talk. And you guys have every reason to question why, for those that did go talk to them, it would just be a slap in the face for them to say there's nothing credible there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little intimidating. So I can't imagine how you guys are babies. I'm
Mm-hmm.
32.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that, we can't put the blame on all of you babies because you guys did what you could, it sounds like. And the people that were supposed to take that into account just really didn't. And that breaks my heart for you guys. All of you, as a community that loves them.
It changed that. It changed us. Like they said, like they were saying in the comments earlier, like it put a wedge in between so many of us. Like it changed our group. It changed the town. Like everything about it. It changed
Well, I've heard.
everything.
I see in the comments, many disappear in that town. Since I started doing this, um, people have came and told me a little bit about other cases, and I hope to, you know, bring them into the Unraveling series too. Anybody from Tennessee that has but they're yeah, from this little town of Gainesboro, there's a lot of that mystery that comes out of there. And I think I seen a podcast. I'm gonna hunt it down. Where they did an actual podcast on just Gainesville in general, and they kind of hinted on the fact that it was kind of a lawless town.
Yeah.
But I don't think they went into detail about anything. So I've been trying to track that down, and I'm gonna post it. So
I would love that because honestly,
yeah,
I think I've
I
been
can't
thinking,
remember
and
where I
I
seen
talked
it.
to Tamara about it the other day, about possibly writing like a series about it, and like possibly a movie series or something like that, because people think that towns like this don't exist
Mm.
anymore except for in old movies and stuff. But no, it's very real things still to this day, and it's something that needs to be changed. It needs to be known about so that it can be changed.
Because correct me if I'm wrong. Gainesville is just like this little blip, like valley blip thing, just this little like almost rural place, right? That's what I'm getting.
It's in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains.
It's like this little lot, like
Just,
almost forgotten. It
yep.
is like a movie, and I think that's what people are trying to like. It is like you see it in there, and that is that town, that lost town that seems to take the law into its own. That's the vibes that I get about Gainesboro. Gainesboro.
Yep. That's
And it's
exactly how that town is. The bad people get away with whatever they want to get away with because that's just, they've either put themselves into a name. Like, I mean, shit, my last name, I may not have been like, my last
who's
name carries a lot of weight in that town, unfortunately. And whether it's good weight or bad weight, it still carries weight, which is another reason why I'm going anonymous, because it just, it's
who's Paul
things.
Harvey? JC. I'm sorry. I just seen this. That is your. I see that name everywhere. People are saying his sayings, and so I'm really trying to dig into who he is.
Who?
Paul Harvey, because I've had at
Oh,
least three or
yeah,
four
I
people
actually looked
say sayings
into
of him.
that. I looked into that, and apparently that's just some rumor that was said. Apparently that's a rumor that's said about a handful of different towns in Tennessee, but it was never actually said.
Because it was okay. Because I had somebody else say that he said the same thing about Crossville. If you want to get away with like what Melissa Paul Harvey said, the number one place to commit and get away with murder is Jackson County, Tennessee. I've heard that he's also said that about Crossville too.
Yeah, and
So,
like I said, it's I actually went into that. I did a bunch of research a few days ago trying to see if that was when it was said and everything like that, because I was personally told that he was sued for saying such thing. So if there was a lawsuit, then it would definitely be out there. So I did a bunch of research a few days ago trying to find out about it and everything like that. And from what I saw, everything that I'm seeing is apparently that's just a rumor that has went around about a lot of the different towns that are in Tennessee, but it's
I
not an
mean,
actual truth.
ooh, I think if just Tennessee in
Well,
general,
I
if
mean,
you want
okay,
to
let
get
me
away with
rephrase that.
stuff, you
It
just
may
want to
be
go
an
to
actual truth,
Tennessee.
but I don't think it was actually said.
Yeah. Yeah. I,
Because
I get you. I
apparently you can get away with it in Jackson County.
oh we. I tell everybody Tennessee is just whole different. Little different out there.
Lynch and Mahaney were crooked. I met them and saw them in action. Yes, Michael. Yes, Michael, longest sitting DA in Tennessee history. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
here's
okay. So Mahaney, I personally did not know Lynch, but I personally knew Mahaney, and he. I cannot say how I know this because it will for sure give away who I
yeah.
am, but he was definitely a crooked person that would let people get away with things just because he was either friends with them or afraid of them. I know for a fact because he let I've seen it happen. I've
Yeah.
had it happen to
Yeah.
myself.
It's not all of Tennessee, Michael, because man, the stories out of Tennessee that I'm getting. Well, I guess you are correct. It seems to be a very because District 13 is very saturated in people talking. So I guess you're right. I mean, I do have one. There's one a story I ran in Camden, Tennessee, which is kind of out there.
I mean, yeah,
It's just the
Tennessee
way they
is
handle things. Like since I've started this, like I keep bringing up the Holly Bobo, and I swore in the chat the other day I seen somebody that said they knew the family and knew about it. I would really like to know just how much they screwed up in that case because I'm telling you, I'm not saying that's what started it all, but it's laws like what they instilled in her case to protect themselves
yeah.
that it means stuff. That was around the time this was in the early 2000s. And like I said, I'm not saying it was the catalyst, but they pretty much created law to pretty much say, yeah, we fucked up, but we don't have to show you.
Right.
And then I think they just took that and laws like that and take advantage, gross advantage of it. And like Lisa says, it's the good old boys
Mm,
around. They network, they look out for each other, they
mm-hmm.
reach. And for me personally, I would like to see whatever law that was made to protect those officers in Holly Bobo's case repealed. It needs to go. People
I fully
they're
agree.
into and they fuck up and they need to. If we got to show when we mess up, then they need to show when they mess up, admit it out of anybody and fix it because they're held to a higher accountability.
Yeah.
So they should be the first people that have to say, yeah, we fucked up. We need to fix this. These are lives.
But instead, they're like, no, we fucked up. Here, let's cover it up so that we
Yeah.
don't have to pay for it.
And then they get to decide what they get to show you. And it's terrible.
They've let us go without answers for so freaking long. And we don't even know why. They just have. Like, whether it's because we were delinquents, whether it was because they figured were too afraid of them, whether it's because they found something out and they were afraid that it was going to make one of their old sheriffs look bad, whether, like, I don't know what the reasoning behind it was, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that there's 4 kids that got murdered and that have not been able to get answers. There's 4 families, 4 sets of friends that have not gotten answers. So it shouldn't freaking matter What should matter is that those babies get answers.
Yeah.
Gainesboro was like the Wild Wild West. Yes, it's like it was. I mean, Gainesboro is set in the freaking 50s. It's like they're still running it like it's in the early 1900s.
And that's my
Like
impression.
they used to try to, when we were in high school, they used to say that they were going to try to bring other restaurants and stuff like that in town. And the people refused to let them. And their reasoning behind it was, quote unquote, I do not, or we don't want Jackson County growing. We like our small town. And it was meant to be a, a retirement town. But okay, so fully understandable. If it's a retirement community, let it be a retirement community. But it's not, because people keep coming in there. They have kids, those kids have kids, those kids have kids. And you're not bringing anything in to allow, to give anyone anything to do. Like, there's no restaurants, with the exception of like Dairy Queen, and like they had to fight to get the Subway put in there. um it's they it's like they do it so that there's nothing to do except drugs, so that they have
Mhm.
something that they can arrest people for.
Where's Lisa? She'll tell you why. It's all about the money.
It's all about the
It's
money.
all about the
Like, I
money.
mean, when freaking Bean was sheriff, a lot of them ended up getting arrested, and Bean got arrested and all kinds of stuff because of freaking, they were propositioning females that were in the jail for
Yeah.
lower sentences, or giving them drugs for sexual favors. They were taking things out of the freaking the the evidence lockup and selling them on the streets. Like, guns, drugs, all kinds of shit was coming up missing out of the evidence lockup. So like,
So
that
to them,
town is horribly,
so
horribly crooked.
and it's crazy because of all the talk of lost evidence, evidence lost or handed over. You know, it's a question of, some say there wasn't even evidence to hand over because they didn't bother collecting it. Others say that they did have it, it sat forever, and then when people came to get it, it was gone. And then another word is it was handed over out of Jackson County and never to be seen again.
Yeah, like, I don't know exactly how the evidence train went, but I know that there was apparently no evidence to be had, which I don't believe that. I think, honestly, I would not doubt in the least little bit that whatever evidence actually was collected got thrown away.
I'm so sorry. JC's it said, "Girl, they've been bringing a McDonald's for 30 years." I'm so sorry.
Yep.
No, I can relate because my little town that I grew up in, we finally, after I graduated, moved out there. There's like a Subway there now. The local grocery stores, from what I know, are not there anymore. We got a Dollar General, but before, growing up, it was two stoplights. I mean, it wasn't small, but you could definitely walk it for some exercise.
Yeah.
And we had nothing, and we got this Subway in and the Dollar General afterwards. And I went through one day, and it's just ran down. There's no grocery stores. There's nothing but that Dollar General and the Subway there now. There's nothing
Yeah,
to do for anybody anymore. That it's just really, yeah, it was sad to see. It was sad to drive through there.
we always used to say when we were growing up, when we were in high school, that the only way that the town was actually going to be able to grow, or anything was ever going to change in that town, was when the old fogies died. And I hated to put like, we always hated to put it that way, but we
That's the
knew
same
that
with
that was the
mine.
only way that anything was going to ever change. And now all of those people are starting to die off, and now all of a sudden people are bringing things up. This is happening. We're trying to get answers now. things are starting to change, and it's because of the people that used to hide everything are finally dying off. And I hate to even put it that way because I'm not one to like to speak ill of the dead, no matter, I mean, obviously, unless they actually did something wrong. But, like, unfortunately, the older people that were running that town was not allowing anything to come in to change it or to help it grow. They wanted to keep it small.
Yeah. Lisa said the good old boy system was and is handed down from one sheriff to the next. Oh yeah, they
Yep.
look out for kin. They look out. I know that in my small town. Yeah, they look out for each other. Oh yeah. I said the old fogies never die because their kids live.
Yeah, but some
Yeah.
of those kids saw what they were doing and didn't agree with them either. So, it's there's always one person in every family that finally comes along to break the generational curses.
Did
And I
anyone?
mean, he's not wrong. The old fogies never die because their kids live, but apparently them dying off is changing something because this is happening now. This would have never happened before.
Did anyone ever know who TJ's car was picked up by? I know they say it's locked up, but it's not in the tow yards in storage.
I do not know.
I know I've been trying to track that down too because I've had people tell me like they know they're not. I think there's two tow yards there or something, and none of
There's
them are. It's not at either of them.
no I'm trying to think. I know there's two for sure, but I think there might be another one,
Okay.
another hidden one, but I'm trying, give me just a moment. I'm trying to like run through. I know there's Little Roberts. There's the one over there across from next to the old Fox Middle School.
Guaranteed it's in Putnam County.
And that would make sense too. They would put it somewhere where people couldn't go and look, because the tow yards in Jackson County, they don't care. They just let people come in and look.
I wonder if his car was taken off and crushed. I've wondered that too, but
I have
it's
too.
crazy because if it's an open investigation, you would think that they would want to preserve that at least.
Well, it's an open investigation, but yet they haven't tried to get
Mhm.
any answers the entire time. So,
I have, there's a few people that seem to believe that it is still out there somewhere. And I feel like after 20 years, or 21 years, they could snap a picture. I mean, there's just a lot that they could update and clear. They could clear,
yeah,
there's just so much I feel like that they, whether they have evidence or not at this point, I mean, it's their fault if you ask me, but um, then you need to dig back through and go back, and there's got to be some, that's not our fault, there has to be some answers given,
yeah,
you know
there has to be something, but they've spent 20 years hiding it from us, covering it up from us, keeping. Honestly, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. Why would they keep, if they weren't investigating it, then why keep it open, right? And then I thought about it. Something came to me today. If they closed it, then it would go into cold case files. Cold case files has a completely different set of detectives and people that would be working on it. So if a completely different set of people started working on it, then maybe different answers would come about. Maybe people might actually start investigating into it.
hmm
Whereas if it stays as an open case, they can just not have anybody working it and leave it
Well,
there.
as far like Lisa, for instance, she won't close hers. because once it's closed, it is so hard to get it changed and reopened. So, and her position is, they have it ruled as a suicide, and she's like, I'll be damned if I close it as that, because then I can't. Yeah, she'll have everything, but still, with that it being the way it is, she could prove it all, but to actually get them to change it back, so she has nothing, because they won't give it to her because she won't close it as ruled. And yeah, the parents would have everything, but they're also afraid that nothing will get done, especially if they close it.
Yeah, and that does make sense too. That
Yeah.
makes a little more sense than what I was thinking. But like, I was just trying for the life of me to
To
try to figure
understand.
out
And then,
why.
people are out there who fully believe that the kerosene did tip over, and the accelerant that was meant, was just the kerosene heater tipping over. And, a lot of people are saying, okay, but then it would have been closed as an accident. It would have been, we wouldn't be here 2 decades later if it was an
Exactly.
accident, if that's how they felt.
Exactly.
So I thought, this is definitely one, even before I made the post, I started talking to Joseph's parents, and I've just been in the group for months, and it's just like, this has really been 2 decades is long enough for it to been shoved down. And I went into it thinking, it's been so long, um, 20 years. Who's going to, one, like you said, rehash all that pain for, in your guys's, and I understand, for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I did, because ever
20
since
years is
you
too
guys have
long.
given this chance.
Like, it's too long. We should have gotten answers when it
Yes.
happened. We should have.
I
So
couldn't
I'm
believe what I was
honestly
starting to
extremely grateful
see.
for you doing what you are doing, because it's giving us a
Oh,
chance to possibly actually finally get the answers that we so desperately deserve.
and and all I wanted to do was take all of these accounts that they said were not credible, bring them together, and just let everybody decide. Do
Like,
they think?
obviously, they should have been credible if we're all coming up and still 20 years later, still saying the same things that we said
Yeah,
before.
yeah. I mean, I can't say, they say, everybody that's come talk to me has made it fully aware that the ones that did go talk, it was recorded. It
Hmm.
was written down. It was documented. It was all of this. So there, that is evidence. So at least on that note, we know that they have stuff, or they did at some point have something, and it's all gone, and it's crazy. So all I wanted to do was, well, it's back, here it is again for you, you know.
Yeah.
Here it is 20 years later, and it's the same, so maybe it's a little more credible than you thought it was. Just look into it. That's all I'm here for.
I mean, that's all we asked. That's all we need. That's all we wanted then. Just look into it. Don't act like we're lying about this. Don't treat us like, I mean, yeah, I know we're children, but don't treat us like we're stupid.
And that's the reoccurring thing that I hear, is the way,
Just because we were the group of kids that got in trouble sometimes and partied sometimes. I don't know why I keep going back to that, but I feel
no,
like
I
that was part of it.
because that's how all of you feel. I can tell you that. Yeah. You are not alone in feeling that way at all. And it
It
just,
just sucks so bad because, like, I mean, ever since the anniversary, I've been sitting here saying the whole time that the parents deserve justice, and they do 110%, as do the kids. They deserve to finally have answers for what happened to them. But like, I finally broke down and admitted today that the friends
You
we
need that
like, and I'm not
too.
trying to sound selfish when I say it, but
No.
we deserve it too. We
Yeah.
deserve to find out. We deserve to finally know for a fact what happened, no matter if it's going to bring them back to us or not. It may not bring us back. It may not bring them back. It may not make it much easier. And yes, we're still going to miss them terribly, but at least having justice served, at least knowing that the person responsible is paying for it, it would help.
JC, I've been hearing that too. From people that have, somehow when people would talk, um, he knew, and it was relayed to him. And I've had some people come and say, there could be, maybe there was a possible connection in why he was so protected being who he was. Maybe there was something a little bit more.
He
I've had
definitely
quite
knew
a
that
few
I was
come
talking.
tell me and say that Cookie knew things that he shouldn't have known, as far as people talking, and
Yep.
that's scary. Would
He
you
knew
keep
things that he
talking?
should not have known.
Yeah,
There's like, and it's so bad because, like I said earlier, it's like, it's almost like the adults were more afraid of him than the kids were. The adults were like terrified of him. Whereas we were more than willing to stand up in front of him and step up and actually fight and try to get things figured out for our friends. And then the freaking parents, well, not the parents of them, like, but the adults, like, were like, they were so afraid of him that they just didn't want to mess with it.
and that's crazy because if this is all true, if what everybody is saying is true, was he still in the community? I know that people say he was in jail more than he was ever out, but
Yeah.
while he was out, was he still in that community?
Um,
Did he still live in Gainesboro on his off stints, I should say?
I know that, I'm trying to think of what year it was. 2012, maybe. I think he was still there, but after that, I don't know because I left. But I know that in 2012, he was still staying. At that time, he was staying with his father. When he was not in jail. But I do not know about after that because I left. I left
Yeah.
town and I
Yeah.
haven't looked back.
Rev J. Beatty? Anytime you have a case open for over 7 years, a lot of times they do that to keep the families from bringing outsiders in to do their own investigation. That's one way that a cover up is going on.
And that would make so much sense too.
I believe Beatty is or I'll just Rev J. I like that better. Um, I think he is the ex-cop that was not in any association that I know to this, in just
Yeah.
in general. He is
Just
just an
used to be a
ex-cop.
cop.
Yeah.
Would make sense. Yeah.
So that insight is I find that very credible insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Oh, Tamara said, yeah, Cookie knew I spoke too. and he had been to my house before. Oh, see, and that's
He,
scary. That's more than scary.
he knew that I wasn't talking to the cops, but he knew that I was telling everybody what I was telling them, and he for sure knew exactly where I lived because of how close my father was to his father.
Most people who spoke to the female TBI agent, he knew everything they said. I would like to know who that was.
Yeah.
Tamara says she spoke to a male TBI agent. See, that's absolutely nuts. And that's another thing people say, you know, and that, I understand because a lot of people don't want to call in a tip. A lot of people don't want to call in anonymous because as far as, authorities are, they keep things so tightly lipped, but they just seem to slip them names that they aren't supposed to be saying out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, it just keeps people from talking. And it in cases like this, is there a reason behind it? Is that on purpose? Are they letting them slip to make us, make a statement? And it's intimidating. You guys will never have to explain to me why you guys didn't talk, or explain to me why you did talk and nothing was done, because I get it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And people out there, they don't want to believe that their good old Ellie are capable of doing things like this. I think it's hard for some people to believe because those are the people that you trust to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine. Yeah, let me ask you this. When was the moment you realized that nothing was going to get done?
Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
the day it happened.
Mm. And that's so telling.
I don't know why, but I just knew. I don't know, like my gut just told me that nothing was going to get done about it. But like after that, like I'm going to say probably about a week later when my dad took me to him to be threatened.
Mm.
When that happened was probably the day that I knew for sure that nothing was going to happen about it, because if the adults were acting that way about it, then there was for sure nothing going to be happened.
Were you afraid for your community, for your town?
I was terrified more for my community than I was for myself. I'll say that much. I was more afraid for my friends than I was for myself. I personally didn't care what happened to me. I am one of those that is an extremely protective, like I'm really protective over people that I care about. And after that happened, I became even more so protective over people I care about. So I didn't care what was possibly going to happen to me. All I cared about, I was worried about my friends. I was worried about the people that actually cared about me and that I actually cared about.
So I know that Cookie had an aunt that worked at the school. And I don't want to go, I know that I know his kids. I know all these kids are, I know. And I'm
I
not trying to go
personally
to
do not remember who she was, though.
okay. Because I know
That was
I'm getting
kept
word
so
that's who,
quiet that I don't remember who she was.
because I'm getting word that, Cookie's dad is living with her now. And she probably won't come talk to me because of it, but I would have just liked to have talked to her and seen, her perspective.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know who she was, just to
Because it
remember
just
who she was.
because was Cookie, and when he came that Friday, he wasn't actually going to school there, was he?
No,
No.
he had quit. I can't remember if he had been kicked out of school or if he had quit, but I know he was no longer in school.
But he came down there and came into school, came out the parking
He
lot, like
was
he owned that.
he did it all the time. He would come in for games, like football games and things like that. He would show up for dances, things, and which is something that you weren't supposed to be able to do once you left school, whether it was you leaving, quitting, or even after you graduated, you weren't allowed to come back onto school property for dances. Maybe games, football games and stuff like that, but you couldn't come back on for dances. But yeah, he was there. He was always there.
I know, Michael, I do know that he did have an aunt that worked there, and I do have a name and all that stuff, but I'm just trying to figure out just how all the, just to paint a picture here. You have this kid that doesn't go there anymore. You have an aunt that worked there. You have what I have been, accounts of a school officer of some kind knowing you. I mean, if he came brazen in, I can't imagine. It's just, I'm just trying to paint a picture of all these staff members that could have known, took these threats seriously. How many of them went and talked to the TBI, the investigators, if they did? Because it just seems to me that, from the accounts, everybody, including the staff, took him serious.
Mhm.
And, and that's nothing against them. Yeah, I mean, if they went and talked to the TBI, I mean, I guess I'll hold a little grudge if they didn't because you guys were babies.
Yeah.
But if they did, that's credibility to me, at least. I think we all can agree that you don't want to hear these babies, but were you listening to all these staff members, all these grown-ups that, if they said anything to you, you didn't listen to them either then, if that's the case. But I haven't confirmed any way whether they talked to them or not. I have not, but I would like to, because I mean, we're basing, the whole point of this is no evidence or credibility. So I kind of just want to take a jab at all those places there could have been credibility had they known. And the question is, did they talk to them or not?
Right.
And, they want to say, fine, you don't want to listen to the babies. Well, did you listen to them? Did they come talk to you? What they say? And regardless, they didn't take it serious because here we are today. It's just,
Mm.
it's just something I would like to know. It's been eating at me. Did they, if they knew, did they speak on what they knew?
Right. And see, I don't know like that personally. That's
Hmm.
one thing that
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if any of the adults, any of the teachers, I don't know if any of them went step forward like we did.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Don't you think?
You
That
would
you guys
think
don't know
that the
that?
adults would want the like
Yeah.
answers for the kids regardless of what group of people we were in,
Yeah.
regardless of who we were. You would think that they would want answers because they're kids. We were kids.
Yes. Yeah. Mm.
And 20 years ago they didn't plan or foresee a platform where those who are usually silenced can step up and tell their horror stories and be heard. No, they didn't, and I'm glad that we do have that kind of platform now because people deserve that. People deserve that capability, and now technology has grown so much that it's like it's so much easier to be able to get your voices heard now.
And that's all I said. He is just, I seen this was 2 decades old. There was nothing online, and I just wanted to give you guys a place, you know, and I think that's what that scares them the most is you guys are all together now.
Yeah.
And you guys have a spot to compare notes and go over things and connect and figure, and then they can't take those recordings and shove them away again. They can't take all of that and shove it away and put it on a shelf. I'm not saying either way, but it's definitely was put on a shelf and long forgotten. And my question to them is that exactly how they wanted it to be and for why?
Yeah.
So they won't come talk because it's an open investigation, but I have definitely paved the way for any of them to want to come make a comment, update, anything. But they refuse because it's an open investigation.
Mm-hmm. Furious Hero Gaming, my friend moved out of there 5-6 years ago, about 5-6 years ago, and she does everything she can to not have to move back there. That's exactly what I did. I left, and there's been I personally ended up homeless a few times being where I'm at, but I have absolutely refused to go back there. I will not. Not only because it's just I refuse to live in that town anymore.
That's how I feel about my hometown.
I want to get my kid out of there, and honestly, I would love it if all of the people that I care about would get out of there, because that place is nothing but what I've always called a hellhole, because it's like it drags you in and it does nothing but ruin your life.
Now, can I ask you, to your knowledge, do you know who the last owned that property was out there?
I have no clue.
Because that's what I want to do. I'm going to pull this up real quick because after 2 decades, from what I'm seeing, they're not nothing is done out there. This is exactly, where the trailer sat and it happened. And I posted that map that was mapped out of the trailers. That was sent in to me and circled. It was just a rough draft of where these trailers might have been. And now Jackie was saying, well, it was a little bit, you could see it from the road. The trees weren't blocking it. But she sent me, this picture in, and it literally broke my heart because there's nothing there, but so why can't something be there for them? And I
Right.
would really like, to get permission from whoever we need to let you guys go in there, whoever is still, in Gainesboro, to go clean that up. And I would love to get a vigil, somebody to take it upon themselves to have a vigil there. But we
I would love that.
need that permission. I mean, if there's nothing being done with it, I can't see why you guys couldn't make a memorial spot.
That would be honestly, that would be amazing. I know I remember hearing Tamara say that she was gonna try to figure that out on her life.
I thought somebody sent me in records and I cannot find them now. I don't know who it was. And I know I should have saved it and screenshotted it, but I thought, at least as far as back in 2013, it was still owned by whoever owned it at the time the trailer burned. But that was back in 2013. I would just like to see that, that happen for you guys. I think you guys all deserve that.
Yeah. Honestly, I do too, and like I may not be there, but all of that doesn't mean
Yeah,
that the rest
exactly.
couldn't go. And just because I'm not there doesn't mean that that wouldn't be an absolutely amazing thing to do for the families and friends that are still there. And even that, even if there aren't that many there, it would be an amazing thing to do for them, period, just to show them that, hey, we're still thinking about you, we still love you, we still miss you, and we're still trying.
I think that would just be wonderful. And it just broke my heart. I think there should be a bench and in reefs, and some people have said that they've tried over the years to put those things there, but every time they go, it's gone. And that just breaks my heart even more, because who would have the heart to do that?
Exactly. Like,
Who
how
would?
can you do that? Let us do this. Like Michael just said, find me the owners and let me know what we need, and I'll cover the cost for a vigil.
Oh my gosh, now you're gonna.
So, yeah, thank you so much for that, Michael. Thank you so much. That means,
Yeah,
oh my God, that means so much.
I would really like to see that. I mean, I
If
just think it would be wonderful for you guys. Yeah. I mean,
I think that would be absolutely
Jackie has told
amazing. I
me.
don't think it's going to be too hard to find out who owns it. So hopefully we can get that figured out soon so that we can get something set up for that.
'Cause, there are 4 trees there. I know everybody can't see that, but from my knowledge, there were 4 trees planted there.
Yeah, it
And
just needs to be cleaned up.
yes,
Get
that's,
it cleaned up. Get, like you said, put like some benches there so people
yeah.
can go and like go and sit and talk to them, and just plant some flowers, make it a beautiful
Hmm.
place. Don't, like, instead of a place, I mean, yes, it's going to be a place of darkness, but put some put some things of growth in there so that it can be a, a place of growth instead of just what it is. I mean, put it as a place of beauty to show the beauty of who they were.
I think that would be just wonderful. I was just sad that was never, it sounds like people tried. It did. And
Michael Frizzell said, find me on Facebook and give me the info. So,
yeah, I will. I will. I just,
yeah, that would be, for sure. I, I will send you a friend request as well, Michael.
if we could figure it out. I mean, I would like to hope, if they're watching this, just to make themselves known and say, yes, let's go do that. I think that would be so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Michael said it will be a place of life and remembering, not of darkness.
Yes, that's what
That's
it needs
exactly
to
how I was trying to
be.
word it, and I just couldn't
Yes,
get it to work.
yes. I think the parents would love that. Jackie took this photo and she sent it to me, y'all. I would love that, when she does go out there, she didn't see that.
Yeah, like, make it prettier,
Yeah.
cleaner, growth,
And for
not.
anybody that doesn't know, Jackie is Joseph's mother, and Joseph was one of the victims that.
Yes.
So I would love for the next time that it's starting to get cleaned up, and something that, not this, to know that you guys are looking at this breaks my heart.
Yeah, it really does. When I saw that picture, I cried.
So that, I think, would be so wonderful, and then just have everybody, pick a date and just have everybody come out and share those memories with each other and talk to each other and remember them. And yeah, I think that would be
Four
much needed.
stones surrounded by flowers to show the life we all remember. That's a really good idea, Michael.
Yes.
It's a beautiful idea.
So anybody out there who actually in watching that does know the property owner, um, or if they are watching themselves, you would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be. And Tamara said that she'll see what she can find out.
Yes. I swear, let's
So
get it done. It's time.
yeah, it's definitely it's past time.
I think
Yes, Tamara said yes. I have pics of them. We could get some blown up and have those there
yes.
too. Have like on the stones, have a picture of each one of them on each one of the stones, and surround them by by flowers and growth and beauty, and the beauty of who we all remember them to be.
And you guys there could be a memory board out there for all of them, for everybody to come write memories on and then give to the parents. Like, because when I
Yes.
asked you guys to share, they loved that. They loved seeing that perspective from you guys. They absolutely loved it. And I think that something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. A vigil, a remembrance day, however. But I would love to see that cleaned up and all of you gathered around.
Yes. That would be amazing.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I tell everybody, if you get off here and you want to go to the chat, and I don't think you can actually reply to them there, but you can comment on the YouTube channel. Um, but feel free, that's why we do this. I wanted you guys to be like Mike and you and getting together, and Tamara, and all getting back, together and doing something, connecting. I know it's hard. I know it brings up a lot of things.
It really does, but if it means that we can get them answers finally, I'm more than okay with going through the emotions of it, because like I said at the beginning of this, it's something that we've been going through for 20 years. If bringing it up and making it like a little more on the forefront of our minds for a little while,
Yes.
I mean, I'm more than okay with doing that if that means that we can get them answers.
Wait, Tamara, well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see what I can do. I know somebody that might at least help me be able to pull up property records and see who's on there.
Who said
So
that?
if you guys, Tamara asked how we can do that, but I think it's not really something that they do, but I think that they are capable of being able to find that out or pointing me in the right direction. Because
Yes.
I'll call Gainesboro. I mean, will the Gainesboro LE know? If I call them and be like, yo, who owns the Gainesboro 4 property now?
They might.
Because I will do that even.
They might. I don't honestly know. I
I
don't
will.
know who.
I'm going to. I have a close friend that could tell me or point me in the right direction of who I would have to call in Gainesboro, even if I had to go that route. But if you guys are up there, if we get this info, and then you guys will have to get that done. But I will try my hardest to get you that info.
Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Like I said, if you want to hop on afterwards and go through the comments and do what you do, because the I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you being so brave.
I appreciate you having me and doing everything that you're doing to allow us to have the voices that we were never allowed to have before.
And that right there, that is the only reason why I'm here. And
And I
I
am
hate to give
extremely grateful
anybody
to you
hope,
for that.
but I really hope that it can bring a little bit. A little bit of hope that somebody will listen this time, now that it's not hidden and shoved away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate it. And I know that as hard as it is, it's for good reason. It is.
It is. It's hard, but it's worth it. To be able, I feel good about this. I feel like we're going to be able to get the answers that we've been looking for so long. I think that I just have this, like I said before, like I just had this gut feeling before that it wasn't going to happen. I knew like the day it happened, the day I found out about it, that nothing was going to be done about it then. But I don't feel that way now. I feel like this time is different. This time I feel like we're going to be able to go a lot further than what we ever could have back then.
And that's all, you guys have. And I appreciate the thanks, and I guess I don't know how to take them, because you guys have done the work. You guys have done everything that you could try. And you could do. I've done the easy thing here and just given you guys that a place to speak. You guys are doing the hard work. I do appreciate it, but no, this is all you guys.
You
And
gave
you
us the
guys.
platform, though. You gave us the ability.
And you know, you guys spoke, and that's how we're gonna do it. And yeah, you all have so much support. I mean, everybody everywhere is just really rooting, and keep coming, keep speaking. You don't have to show your face, you don't have to show your name, but people want to hear what you have to say now. We want to listen. We want to hear
Oh, hi, Kitty.
it. I love kitties. But I will let you go. And like I tell everybody, if you want to come back, I know it can be a lot. If you get off here and say, "Oh, I forgot, I wanted to say this," just jot some things down and just say, "Hey, Ash, when can I come back?" And we'll set it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. You have a good night.
You as well.
I thank everybody for being here. Um, it's brave. Um, Anybody out there that wants to talk about her being anonymous, just think about, if you're up here on that camera, it's incredibly brave of everybody that has come out. And because you guys see the big picture here, you guys see that those 4 babies need answers. And I tell you what, the parents have really appreciated it. They've learned things that they didn't know, that they should have known. Friends have learned things that they didn't know that they should have known. And I am just glad I can give that to you. And with that being said, this is Ash with TC Spotlight. You guys have a good night and stay safe out there. One more thing before I go, though. I will post the petition. They do have a petition going around that is calling for attention to investigate. I will drop it in the comments and pin it to the comment section. It's easy, just click sign. And I've been saying I want to see 60,000 because when I posted their vigil post on my page, it got a 60,000 reach and over 100 shares. So much attention. So I want to see 60,000 signatures. So I hope that we can get that done for them. I signed. I'm sure everybody watching this has signed. Share it so other people can sign. And it's just bringing awareness. And that's what we want to do here. So now I am hopping off. It's Ash. I'll see you guys later.